If anyone.
Shaun Attwood made the chat. Shaun Attwood's in here. Hey, Shaun.
Big up, Shawnee. What's he saying?
He's saying, what's this about? Cali said you have some questions for me.
Hey folks, wasn't going to do a video today, but recent events have kind of forced my hand slightly, and I thought I'd like to keep everybody up to date a little bit on what's going on. First things first though, I'd like to say hello and thank you to all the new subscribers. There's been a massive influx over the last couple of days, so it's well appreciated. So hopefully you will stick around and enjoy some of the content that I put out. I'm sure you won't enjoy it all, but hopefully you'll enjoy some of it. The reason for this video is that I was actually sitting last night, spending my Saturday listening to the What is Truth podcast, and what a show it was. If you're not subscribed over there, you might want to get over there. Massive shout out to Truthy for managing the arena yesterday. Truthy is a tenacious referee. He doesn't really let up, to be honest. He certainly lets other people say their piece, but he will go in on people and demand explanations. Really good listen. Truthy's a bit of a savage, to be honest. A very peaceful, mellow, relaxed savage. He's not afraid to disagree with people, that's for sure. And he was getting an awful lot of support from his audience yesterday. Last night, Truthy had Jimmy James on. In fact, it was Jimmy Harris, my apologies, the former Shaun Attwood guest. Big thanks to Jimmy for actually coming on. He's got the EOT podcast, Everything on the Table. And I thought it was actually great that a former Shaun Attwood guest would come on and say his piece about Shaun. I think some of the audience were maybe a little bit disappointed. I believe that Jimmy was just trying to be diplomatic in what he was saying, but he still did go pretty hard on Shaun, in my opinion. But I think some of the viewers did disagree with me on that one slightly. Jimmy was talking about how he'd asked Shaun to take his podcast down as he doesn't want to be associated with him after the Daddygate scandal broke, including setting up a GoFundMe under false pretenses, which by the way is still up. And interestingly, Jimmy said that Shaun had ignored all his contact previously, as Jimmy had actually contacted Shaun asking him to take down the episode which was interviewing Jimmy on Shaun Attwood's channel. Shaun apparently completely ignored Jimmy. This has been going on for several weeks. He's been trying to get hold of him. But just an hour or two before coming on to Truthy's show, the What is Truth podcast yesterday, Jimmy actually said that Shaun Attwood messaged him and asked him to call him. Now, Jimmy says that he did not contact Shaun Attwood before coming on the show. So he came on the show and interesting conversation. I enjoyed it myself. But then, later on, who turns up but Shaun Attwood? So somebody turns up anyway using Shaun Attwood's official checkmarked YouTube account, so whether it was Shaun or not, I'm sure he'll try and claim some funny business was going on, no doubt, knowing Shaun, to be honest with you. But somebody came on using Shaun Attwood's official YouTube account, and to me it seemed as if it was definitely Shaun. He joined the fray, and I'm going to run over it briefly. And then we'll get to the interesting part, although I'm not going to go over the full thing because I really do think you should get over to the actual live stream. It's had a whole heap of views. As I say, the subscribers are actually pumping up on What is Truth's podcast, and rightly so. So get over there and check out the full thing. You'll see a little bit of internet lore getting made. We've got Shaun Attwood coming in, and I don't even know how to describe it, to be honest. The usual, I suppose, that you'd expect from him. His answers were very confusing, to say the least. So he came in, first of all, and he asked, what's all this about? And said that Cali had told him that What is Truth had some questions for him. Cali was also in the chat. She sometimes makes an appearance here and there. Now, Truthy, never one to shy away from a conversation, of course. He immediately welcomed Shaun to the show and questioned him on why the explanation video about Cali's self-harm attempt off the balcony was deleted. To which Shaun Attwood replied that the police had told him to remove that video. And then he added, plus Cali is in heavy with threats from traffickers against our son. This was the first thing, obviously odd. So there's two reasons that you've taken the video down, is there? Which one is, why did you take the video down? This is the question that was asked of you. Was it because the cops asked you to take it down, or did the traffickers threaten Cali's son, or did both happen at the same time? Did you not think to tell the police that the traffickers were threatening Cali's son? That's the first thing that pops into my head. And if so, why did the police threaten to arrest Cali for potentially returning to your house? We're never going to get an answer to that, let's be honest. Shaun did a little bit of trolling here and there. He said to the audience and to What Is Truth that he forgives us and thank you for resubbing. He also suggests trying yoga. So things like that. A bit of banter, to be honest. I will say good on Shaun for coming in the chat, but I don't believe it helped his cause in any way, and it certainly didn't clear up any doubts in my mind as to what has gone on in regards to the so-called prank. Now, Shaun's promised, after pressing by What Is Truth, to put a video up on his channel or to email over a video. It went back and forth between different possibilities. He was going to take a video showing the balcony drop. So he was going to take a video from inside his flat, showing that it was inside his flat, and he was going to walk towards the balcony and point the camera down the way. That's the impression I got of what was asked, and that is the impression I got of what Shaun understood that was being asked of him. And he said that he was going to get that. So apparently it's either going to go out on his channel today or he's going to try and email it to somebody. Either, I don't know whether it's coming to me or whether it's going to Truthy or where it's going. But he said he would do that. Shaun thinks that's cleared things up with regards to the balcony question. I do not believe it has. I am not particularly interested in how far the balcony is off the ground. I'm actually interested in whether Cali actually did try to commit suicide in the first place, and why. She says that it's due to the traffickers threatening her son that she tried to kill herself. I don't want to go into too much details. I don't want to talk about Cali too much because I believe that Cali was brought into this situation not knowing where it was going to end up. Effectively, Cali was just the same as everyone else, just a citizen, not known to the public, and brought on to Shaun Attwood's channel and put in front of the camera by Shaun Attwood, and that's why I try and keep the focus on Shaun Attwood rather than on Cali. I did receive an interesting email today with a little bit of information about Cali from a wonderful subscriber who has been invaluable in providing snippets here and there, so I can't thank you enough. You know who you are. Basically a screenshot showing that heavily suggests that Cali is actually an actress, a paid actress. Now, whether she's a paid actress on Shaun Attwood's channel, and that's the reason she was on there, very different story. That I don't know whether that's the case, but apparently, under the name Diamond Pixie, which Cali uses on Facebook, there is a message from somebody mentioning Diamond Pixie and saying a big shout out to Jen, which we know is Cali's actual name. A big shout out to Jen, waiting for her audition in London. You go, girl, fingers crossed for you. Knock 'em dead. Ha ha ha, the zombies, not the producers. Best of luck. So Cali's, by the looks of things, appearing in some sort of production, potentially with zombies, and being told best of luck by one of her friends, by the looks of things, who's calling her by her real first name, Jen. So unless there's another Jen who goes by the name Diamond Pixie on Facebook and looks the same as Cali, using the same Facebook account, then it seems to suggest that Cali has auditioned for plays and things like that in London. So that's no small thing. That is somebody that's received either training in acting or is good at acting. Certainly she's got an audition anyway, or she did it. This was back in 2014, so this may have been before any trafficking took place. I don't know what the exact timescale was, to be honest. But that was a very interesting little snippet of information that came through. But as I say, my focus is not on Cali. I'm not trying to denounce Cali unfairly. She certainly does like to insert herself into situations. She likes to comment in the chat. I would suggest that people engage with Cali. It's very difficult to know what she's saying half the time because most of the time she peppers everything with untruths and she deliberately misleads people with what she says, in my opinion, by obviously liking contradictory statements on her YouTube channel and things like that. So, but I'm not going to say that she's a bad person. I don't really know anything about her. I don't think any of us do. And I like to keep the focus on Shaun Attwood as he's the person with a massive audience who brought her onto his show out of obscurity and thrust her into the public eye like this. So during yesterday's live stream on the podcast, What is Truth, Shaun basically said he seems to think that he answered everyone's questions. He actually said that he'd answered everyone's questions, including the email, and he said, "And you know it," which is just absolute tripe. So I actually asked What is Truth to direct a question towards Shaun Attwood. I didn't actually address Shaun Attwood directly. Now, the reason I didn't address him directly, excuse me, is because he has obviously banned me on his channel. Now, if he's banned me on his channel, I didn't want to be sending messages that were not getting through, so I was messaging and tagging What is Truth in my questions so that he could then ask Shaun out loud in front of everybody. And I asked What is Truth to ask Shaun Attwood if he could provide the email address that would clear up everything and would at least certainly damage the credibility of channels like myself and others who are covering this situation. I knew Shaun wouldn't be able to provide the email address, but a little part of me hoped that he maybe would. He didn't answer the questions about the email, actually. First of all, I believe he said he's under legal advice not to speak about the prank, but then he said the email contains the words sorry and also has reference to cats in it. So these two little bits of information, he knows this about the email apparently. But he then says that it's a private email and he can't disclose it because I wanted a little bit more than that. You can't just say it's got reference to Surrey and cats in it. Give me the email address. If you know that much about the email address, why don't you know the rest of it? Well, apparently it's a private email address and it can't be disclosed here. This was not good enough. We obviously asked for the full email address because this didn't seem to be a normal way of answering a question, in my opinion. So Truthy actually suggested that Shaun Attwood sent it to myself by email, the Chancellor email address. And I told Shaun Attwood, I said, my inbox is open. And I gave my word in front of everybody that I would not disclose the email in public or to anyone else. My intention was to check with Anne that parts of the email address added up with what she had. And if they didn't add up, we would all know. It would confirm what we all actually already know, is that the whole thing is just bull. So I don't even know why we're playing this game, because as I say, we do already know that it's bull, but we decided to give him a chance, obviously. He'd shown himself, and I did ask him the question. I did ask him to provide the email address in a previous video, so it's only fair that we listen to and report his reply. Unfortunately, when he was offered the option to email me, he swerved that, and then he said he doesn't have the email address. He says he tricked somebody into sending Androgyny the initial evidence of Cali working on the escort website. So he went from saying it contained two different words to saying, well, he went from saying he's not allowed to discuss it in the first place to saying that the email address contains a couple of different words to then saying it's a private email address that he's not allowed to disclose to then saying that he wouldn't be able to disclose it anyway because they actually tricked somebody they know into sending on the initial email, which was the initial leak that set this whole thing in motion, this whole scandal in motion. That's how I picked it up anyway. This is new information if you choose to believe it, so you can do with that information as you like, but it just adds another layer of comedy to the prank timeline, in my opinion. Having tricked somebody who knows into sending. Why would you do that? Why would you trick someone to send a leaked escort website to another YouTuber? Why would you do that when, instead of just making a fake email address, when you did that with the daddy video, you actually made a fake email address. You made a show that you'd made a fake email address. It was a big part of your prank explanation to send the daddy video to Anne. Yeah, you're expecting people to believe that you tricked somebody, you had to trick an associate into sending the initial leak to Anne. You couldn't have just made another email, made a fake email address for that one. No. Am I getting this right? Is this just another layer of Machiavellian genius from Shaun Attwood? I'd imagine that's what he thinks it is anyway, but this is just getting daft now, and we're all obviously playing his game now. And we're left with no answers, apart from a promise to film the balcony from inside his flat, showing the drop. Now, I imagine he might show the drop. I don't know, but I'd imagine he might actually show that. He did show face yesterday, so he might show the balcony side of things. But if he thinks that's going to clear anything up, certainly in my mind, he's absolutely incorrect. There's no way that clears anything up for me. After the stream, Androgyny actually came into the comments on the What Is Truth podcast, and she confirmed in writing that under her own name that the email address had nothing to do with Surrey or Cats. Not only that, she said it's a man's first name and last name, so she's given us a big clue on the email address. She knows what that email address is. She would not be backing herself into a corner in such a fashion if she didn't know what it was. That much is certain, because she could just be pestered and pestered and pestered in order to release it, and if she didn't, would end up discrediting her. However, Shaun has not in any way whatsoever proved that he actually knows what this email address is, so I do not believe Anne is under any obligation whatsoever to release this email address. Shaun does not know what it is. That much is obvious. The email is not known by him, it's not known by Cali, and he's provided no evidence other than trying to convince people that he knew part of what the email address was, which has been denied by Anne, who is the person who's in a position to release part of the email address or the email address. I think we can safely say that Shaun has actually cleared up all doubt about whether he knows the email address or not. He can't tell us what it is. He can show no evidence of having been involved in the sending of the email. The person who has the email, Anne, has confirmed that the email address has nothing to do with Surrey or Cats. So there was no prank. There was only a leak from an email that was sent to Anne D initially. The email address showed evidence that Cali was working on an escort website, and at that point, Shaun and Cali simply went into damage limitation overdrive and cooked up some fake making of videos which explained absolutely nothing and appeared to be from the minds of, let's say, some people who were partying extremely hard every single day of the week for a very long time. If you're subscribed to this channel, the chances are you probably already know that this is what happened. There's probably no doubt in your mind anyway. Shaun has failed in his chance to prove that the prank was fake. He would have been a lot better coming out, in my opinion, and just saying that he's been back on the drugs, admitting that he has a problem with substance misuse and is going into rehab, and apologising for all his awful decisions and promising to make them right. Now, I'm not saying any of those things are true, that he is on drugs or anything like that. I'm just saying that it would have been a damn better explanation than this contrived maze of twists and turns and people being tricked and sexualized pranks for no reason at all, missing pieces of the puzzle where they really shouldn't be missing, and just an awful lot of just dead ends and just weird stories. He might come out, as I say, with the balcony video, but it wouldn't prove anything to me. I just wanted something much simpler, and the only thing I wanted was the email address. I was relishing the chance to remove my Shaun Attwood videos and admit that I was wrong, at least in part. And I did offer to remove my videos on Shaun Attwood if he could prove that he knew what the email address was. So we'll need to see where things go from now on. This should be a lesson in PR to everybody though. If you're doing the political thing or the royal thing of staying silent until a scandal passes over, do not come in and break your silence at 11 PM on a Saturday night on a YouTube live chat. But for the whole shebang, go over to see the What is Truth podcast. It's the most recent video that's up at the moment anyway, as of the time I'm making this video. His channel's going from strength to strength. Truthy's really sailing that ship like an absolute legend. The audience is growing every stream and the subs are increasing fast over there. I think you should just go and check out Poet Laundrette as well while I'm here. I really feel that it's no coincidence that Shaun has broken cover just after Poet Laundrette has started peeling away the onion skin on his own channel about Shaun's history. Poet takes no prisoners with the topics that he covers. He's a brand new channel, he's still finding his feet just like the rest of us. Get over there and subscribe, show him some support. And another guy, while I'm actually talking about this, who got a lot of love in the What is Truth live stream and has done from me as well in the past, is our subscriber, Marshall Schmerda, also known as Scarface. I'm going to put a link to his channel down below. He's made a quality diss track of Shaun Attwood covering the Daddygate saga. It's pretty hardcore and it was really great to hear the situation being put into lyrics against a nice beat. You'll hear more from Marshall in the future, I am certain. But it's the first time you'll have heard about the Daddygate saga in musical fashion, trust me. So you should definitely check out his channel below. I'll put a link down in the description for you to check him out. And just finally, again, thanks to everyone for watching. Thanks to all the new subscribers. Appreciate all of you. Hope you enjoy the content. If you do, please give it a like and a share with your like-minded friends. And if you're watching but you're not subscribed, you're not alone. Hit the subscribe button. Join the club. You'll get notified of the next amazing installment of the Shaun Attwood Obsession. Cheers, folks.